Hey, how's it going? Hope all is fantastic. Today we're going to talk about unfortunate cruise events that happen to people, deathly demises. Let's begin with some stories. Sit back, relax, like, subscribe if you want. Otherwise, let's begin. On September 23rd of 2002, Pacific Sky departed Sydney, Australia, with Diane and her daughter, Talia, boarded the ship along with Diane's sister, Alma, and Wood's daughter as well, Carrie Ann. Later that evening, Diane left to go to the nightclub. Alma realized that Diane had not returned to their cabin the following morning. Alma was later called to the ship's medical center, where she was told that Diane had passed away. Her naked body had been found on the floor of a cabin that was occupied by four unknown men. Diane's daughter, sister, and niece were forced to endure an additional 2 days on the ship before they could disembark and fly back home to Australia. The case created a firestorm when it was discovered that Diane had been drugged and had died after a group of men gave her a drug known as the date rape drug, putting it into her drink at the club. The media coverage and the criminal trials of the four men involved had resulted in measures in security, including drug-sniffing dogs during the cruise ship's boarding process. Jose Sandoval Opazzo, 66, of Italy, died aboard the Carnival Ecstasy on December of 2015. As a result of an accident while he was working in an elevator shaft. An electrician himself on the passenger cruise ship, he's reportedly crushed to death. Witnesses reported that there were blood running down the face of the elevator doors and that they could hear the blood dripping. A graphic video online circulated, of course. Please don't look it up, it is quite graphic and horrible to say the least. Newly engaged couple, Paul Rolstein at age 30 and Kristen Schroeder, 27, both died while traveling aboard the Carnival Spirit Cruise in 2013. They were seen and heard arguing at a dinner and were caught on security cameras arguing on the ship's casino floor before they took their argument to their cabin. Security cameras show Miss Schroeder climbed over the balcony railing of her cabin, clinging to the outside of it before slipping from the 5th level balcony. She tumbled downward and her body struck level 3 and then a lifeboat before her. Battered body fell into the ocean. Mr. Rothstein, who was naked at the time, was seen by security cameras executing what is deemed a security dive into the Tasmanian Sea, and as he went into the ocean to try to save his fiancée. Neither body was found despite intensive air and sea search for over 1,700 square kilometers, but there is a little chance that either survived for that long as well. Darla Banner, at the age of 56, and John C. Banner, at 56 as well, of suburb town of Ohio, was known to Salem police after December 2014 incident where Darla Banner was injured in a knife accident. Salem police were called to a local hospital by staff because Darla Banner had arrived for treatment of a chest wound caused by a knife. When police arrived at the hospital, they were told a story that seemed odd, but the explanation was suitable. The couple was newlyweds who had just arrived home from their honeymoon cruise. Police were told that the man went to a closet to unpack from their honeymoon cruise and found an old military dagger in the closet. John Banner tripped on a rug as he went into the bedroom to show his wife the old relic. He fell toward his wife, who was sitting on the bed. The knife plunged into her chest, causing a non-life-threatening injury. Police ruled the incident a freak accident. The couple then boarded the ship Ronneman at Tampa, Florida on Sunday, March 29th of 2015 for a 14-day Caribbean cruise to celebrate Easter holiday. Ronneman then arrived at Key West, Florida on Monday, March 30th before 2 days at sea. The cruise ship sailed toward Puerto Rico for a noon arrival on April the 2nd. The FBI was notified by the ship's officers about a murder-suicide after Darla Banner was found dead in her cabin from alleged stab wound. John Banner was also deceased as well, so he probably didn't trip on that one. Shirley McGill, at 55, from California, was on a 5-night cruise to Mexico aboard the Carnival cruise ship Alatin. The cruise was supposedly to be celebration of her 55th birthday. It was while that McGillis were on the cruise that Shirley's husband, Robert McGill, beat and strangled her to death in the cruise ship cabin during a heated argument. Robert McGill confessed to the murder and received a life sentence for the crime. On February 6, 1988, Karen Waltz, 26, married chiropractor Dr. Scott Robin Roston at the age of 36. They're on the last day of the 7-day honeymoon cruise to Mexico, the day before Valentine's Day, aboard Sundance Cruise, or Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. Star dancer Scott Robinson initially claimed that Karen had gone overboard after a hard gust of wind hit her as they were jogging around the ship's jogging track. But after reports surfaced that there was no wind gusts at that time frame, Karen went overboard and that good doctor had been angry with his wife for not eating dinner, eating sweets, for not knowing which utensils to use. A full investigation was launched. Ralston was then tried to blame his bride's death on Israeli assassins. Rustin was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison, a sentence that was later reduced to 33 years. He is already out. Walter Bouknight, 26, of South Carolina, died aboard the Carnival Fantasy in 2012 while attempting to jump between floors. The ship was docked in an area at the time and was staying overnight there due to the investigation. A witness who did not want to be identified said of the tragedy, "They stopped the show for a few minutes. Everybody wondered what was going on. Something came over the PA system, paging someone to come to the desk for an emergency. After a few minutes, they finished the show. When we came out of the theater, you could see blood on the floor on some marble steps near a desk in the lobby. It was easy to see what was happening. The ship's next step to Freeport was canceled, but the ship made its next sailing, so the person died." Birdie Africa was found dead at the bottom of a hot tub aboard the Carnival Dream in 2013. He had a very high blood alcohol level and apparently slid beneath the water and drowned, while a crowd looked on in fascination. The port in Florida police report that the day weaves a similar story. 2 passengers saw the body but didn't react initially, thinking it was a painting, and called their friends over to take a look. A doctor who refused to be identified also stated that he saw passengers and crew looking on and had to tell them to pull the body out. Even worse, the doctor alleged that the nurse obtained a defibrillator and was hesitant to use it. She allegedly had a colleague if it was safe to use on a wet body. Face acknowledged when using that device to compound the tragedy. Birdie Africa was one of the only 2 survivors of Philadelphia's attack on the MOVE organization on May of 1985. In November 2015, Bernardo Garcia, 31, was presumed dead after he fell into the water while aboard Royal Caribbean cruise Oasis. Fellow passengers watched in horror as Garcia held on for more than a minute as staff members tried to rescue him. Garcia eventually fell into the ocean. Michael Winkleman, an attorney for Garcia, said the incident was preceded by homophobic comments by the ship's crew toward Garcia and Eric Albaz. The 2 men had been married for about a year, but the ship's crew insisted that the security team was called due to a very loud domestic argument inside the cabin shared by the couple. Homicide detectives viewed footage shot from Garcia's cell phone, declared that he could be heard threatening to jump overboard. Unfortunately, times we live, huh? David Wayne Mosman, at 46, from Texas, jumped overboard on Saturday, March 6 of 2016, on the last night of the cruise aboard Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. The company issued a statement on the matter Monday morning, stating in part, on Friday, March 4th of 2016, at approximately 10:55 p.m., a guest on board Navigator of the Seas reported that they had witnessed another guest going overboard from their stateroom balcony. The company said that they reviewed camera footage and saw 46-year-old David Mossman go overboard from one of the decks, somewhere off the coast of Key Largo, prompting a search. I've been to Key Largo, and it wasn't that fantastic. Actually, my wife and I, she remembered that Key Largo was an amazing place, so we drove about 5 hours or so from North Florida to Key Largo, and when we got there, it was basically a sludge area. There was a little crappy beach. The water was murky, and it was a great memory, to say the least. We continued to talk about it, and it was quite funny. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry about the depressing video. Have a great one. Bye.